Brenda Ryan, and she's with the Paranormal Triage. Am I saying that right? Triage?
Paranormal triage. Triage, like
Triage.
triage.
Okay, triage. Also, too, Brenda. Now, Ryan, that's your husband, right?
Right.
Ryan's in Los Angeles. Can you kind of give us a little briefing on what's going on with Ryan and his firefighting?
So Ryan's actually originally from Orange County. He grew up in oh gosh, where did he grow up? Now I'm gonna forget because I want to tell you, but he grew up down there. Um, Gone to multiple fire academies down there, and then ended up in Shasta County. So he's been with Shasta Lake City Fire Department for I think 6 years now, something like that. And when these fires broke, they called out for strike teams. So he's been down there since the second day of the fires. So they're down in the Palisade area.
And you said something like 25 people have perished in that
Yeah,
fire?
the majority of
25
them.
people? Yeah.
Yeah, the majority of them, I think, were in the Eaton fire, if I'm saying that right, Easton fire, Eaton fire. Um, but they haven't done a full count yet, so there's probably going to be more to come, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, I'm sending out my prayers to Ryan that he comes home safely. So I know how fighting fires are. I mean, I was firefighter for a year, so I know the devastation that a fire can cause and everything else. So I pray that he'll get back here safely and get home with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. He'll appreciate that. He
Yeah.
really wanted to be here, so.
Oh, um, Brenda, so tell us about your group. When did you get started? How is it that you got so interested in the paranormal? What are some of your cases?
Well, I kind of learned through all this that I guess I'm an empath, and I didn't really know that. I've had experiences since I was little, but due to my religion, I was never able to really address it, nor did I want to. I didn't really think about it. So during COVID, the lockdowns, of course, everybody started binge watching, and I think we started watching Ghost Adventures was where we kind of got our interest in it. And then, but we had lived in a couple haunted houses prior to that, but never really thought about it again. I think that's probably what sparked us to watch the Ghost Adventure show. And when we moved out of that house, I didn't really have any more experiences out of that one haunted house. And in 2022, my father passed away, and we brought his ashes home. And about 3 days after we brought his ashes home, things started happening in the house. Like things were moving, things were falling off the shelf, uh, toys were going off. So my dad was a logger, so he had a lot of run-ins with law enforcement. And we had this one little police car that you had to actually press the button to make it go off, and the sirens would go off. Well, that would go off after 11 o'clock at night because my dad always stayed up late. So those toys started going off. And then we bought a camera, and we were just kind of filming around our house, and we started catching light anomalies that didn't look right, but we were so new at it, we're just like, oh, they're probably bugs, we're probably just being dumb. um, and then about 7 months later, my daughter passed away, my oldest daughter. And
Sorry.
after I brought her ashes home, I also ended up with my ex-husband's ashes, part of them. And that's when our house got super negative. Started affecting me. I started like having like kind of like how you would space off, but I would lose time, and I'd have these like vertigo episodes and just not feel good all the time. And I don't think that was my daughter. I think it was more of my ex-husband because he wasn't really the nicest person. So we Ghost Adventures had put out a all call for their house calls, their little spinoff show. And we kind of were laughing about it. We were like, well, let's send in these light anomalies to see if it's just our imagination. Because we believed it, but then when you're so new in the field and you really don't know much about it, kind of laughing about it. And they took the story and they came out and they investigated and caught everything that we had caught on film. Um, but 4 days prior to them showing up, they told us not to investigate our house anymore, and we're like, okay. But we had bought another camera, and this was a brand new camera, and we were kind of messing around with it. And I got my daughter's ashes out, which we really never do that, and we had a locket of her hair from her accident. And I was just kind of like, Leanne, if you're here, poke my shoulder like you do. And long, wispy, feathery looking type thing manifested out of the carpet. and kind of came up and swirled around in my face, but I didn't see it because I'm in darkness. My husband's filming all this. And it went down the hallway where we have most of the activity in our house, and it brushed against Ryan, and it kind of knocked the wind out of him. And Ryan doesn't respond to anything. So for him to act like that was kind of unusual. And he couldn't talk, and he got like all emotional and teary-eyed, and yeah, it was really weird. So when Ghost Adventures came, they caught some of the same stuff in filming. So kind of
What episode was that?
it was season 2, episode 2. It was called Shasta Lake Emergency.
Did you ever see Crisis in Oakdale?
I did, yeah. I have seen
Okay,
that.
that was me there.
Oh, really? No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
interesting. So,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
I've
kind of a
I've
scary
I've
episode.
done 8 things for them, but basically, I'm a location scout. So I found like 8 different locations for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot up here that people don't realize. I feel like a lot of ours has to do with the Native American history here. Um, that's kind of what I lean towards more with people. So,
I've got to ask you, okay, you're in Shasta County, right?
right.
Okay, so have you investigated Mount Shasta?
I haven't yet. Our goal is to go to the Pluto Caves. I don't know much about them. I just know on the inside of the Pluto Caves, which is actually, I think, in McLeod, which is technically Mount Shasta, but it's at the base of the mountain. There's some writing in the caves. I don't know if they were having like secret meetings there, but there was a lot of names on the wall. So we kind of want to go up there and investigate the tunnels. But yeah, there's a lot to investigate in Mount Shasta. Yeah, I mean, take your pick. You have everything from Bigfoot to the Lemurians, aliens. We got it all.
Yeah, and Brenda, you listen, if you do Mount Shasta, please keep me informed on that. Because when we, HPI, Haunted Paranormal Investigations, went to Mount Shasta, we captured on photograph a disc that was tilted like this behind one of our psychics. The
Yeah.
psychic was Holly DeLauder, who happened to be the secretary of Sylvia Brown.
Wow.
And we also too got Bigfoot communication with Wood on Wood.
Hmm.
So, but please, yeah, if you do an investigate Mount Shasta, I want to know all about it.
Yeah, I know there's a group
Yeah.
up there that goes out and they have a podcast, but I can't remember what it's called right now. I think they have one show about Mount Shasta on Discovery somewhere. But yeah, everybody says, back in the day, people witnessed those disc things going in and out of Mount Shasta, like the mountain would open up, and then there's a couple stories of people disappearing and then being let go after a period of time. So yeah, it's interesting up here. But
Uh,
we're just starting
I,
out,
I can
so
tell you, I can tell you firsthand, Brendan. Like I go up there pretty often, and like every time, even when I'm just taking a picture of the mountain or whatever, like, and I run it back, there's always a craft that zip by. You can slow it down. You can always catch something. I actually sent Phil some little fun doodads. But before I talk about Mount Shasta, I just want to say my heart goes out to you as a parent. I had looked up your bio and tried to learn stuff. I didn't know that about you, what you told us at the beginning about your daughter.
yeah.
And I just want to say my heart goes up because I actually have well, I have a son. He's 25 now, but we were in a fire when he was 15 months, and they told me he was dead. So I sat with that for a while, and that
Mhm.
feeling, I have him back, and it's special needs thing, whatever. But like just where people were not understanding,
Yeah.
when something happens to your child, and they want you to be normal, and
Mhm.
people don't know what happened to you, so it's a hard road. So like my heart, goes out to you. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. Like I said, in all of this, I discovered I'm an empath. So when we go on
Okay.
investigation, I absorb everything. So I don't see people or talk to anybody, but I know where we're going to get stuff or where, people are,
Wow.
where they're at, which rooms they're going to be in. But I had a dream about my daughter the night before. Yeah. And my daughter was autistic. And
Okay.
she had mental illness and had some traumatic events, which forced her to become homeless, and she just kind of just because of the autism just kind of compounded all that. So yeah, I was like
Yes.
running through the homeless camps of my dream trying to find her, and I finally found her, and it wasn't good. But then the next day I went to go see her. She called me for money, and I was like, come for Thanksgiving, your boyfriend can come. And it's kind of a long story, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um And then,
So
you know, I got to have that conversation with her, but 4 hours later she was gone. So, but she kind of was spiritual herself and would always talk about helping spirits pass over the Sacramento River, you know, pass on to the other side. And her,
wow.
her analogy was for every 3 people that pass, they take a soul, and it was her turn. So that all happened within that week. So I don't know if she had some kind of weird premonition or, you know, but she was an old soul. She was definitely a cool kid. So, but
It
thank
sounds
you.
like it. Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, but yeah, I
That's
appreciate that
awesome.
though.
She probably, so you probably, your psychic experience and everything has probably been enhanced. Sounds like from what you say. I usually ask relatives mine, hey, if you or I go first, can we somehow try to communicate? Most of them think I'm crazy, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And yeah, it's hard for people to wrap their heads around it, you know.
yeah,
And it really just depends on how your upbringing and your religion and all that. Some people just
good
want to
point.
call it all demonic, and I don't believe it's demonic. You know, I was Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't get to address anything like that.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. As Jehovah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad religion. It's just super boring and super strict. You know, they don't really do anything
Super strict.
exciting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just believe there's more to life than this. You know, there's just too much that we see and feel and go through, and we're energy. So how could we just turn back to dirt and that's it? I just don't believe that. And everything that
No,
we've
I'm with you
experienced,
there. I'm with
yeah,
you there. Too many other transitional stages that things exist that for us to just, we just go to another state or, state of matter, I think, So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Our bodies, I think, here are just temporary, you know, and whatever we're here for that time, and we just move on to the next level. We should level up.
Brenda, how far do you travel to go on an investigation?
We haven't been out of state yet, but we plan on it. You know, I'd like to go to Nevada. I'd like to go to Virginia City. There's some places there I want to go to. Um, so far, it's just been local, but we are getting ready to go down to 28 Palms or 29 Palms and do.
I've been down there, the
Yeah,
Tegratron.
yeah, we're assisting with a house investigation down there. So that'll be the farthest that we've got to make it so far. It's kind of hard when you got kids. It's not like I can call up the babysitter and go, "Hey, you got 3 days?"
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
29 Palms.
29 Palms, yeah.
Yeah, Landers and Joshua Tree, they make that triangle. I mean, there's some good stuff down there. I hope you keep your head on a swivel. 29 Palms, right next to Landers has the Integratron, that building that's right where all the vortexes and the energy are.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I just started doing some research on it. You know, like I said, I kind of lean towards Native American culture. I have Native American in my own family, so
Okay.
you know, it's just the history here just seems to lean more towards that way. So yeah, it'll be interesting to go down there and see all that. I didn't even know that all existed until we started doing all
oh yeah, they have a lot of stuff over there.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and they didn't never finished building, completing that what's it called again?
Integratron, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't complete it. Yeah,
No, George Van Tassel died before it was completed. Yeah.
yeah. And it almost seems like he got the knowledge from extraterrestrials.
Well, that's the story. See, you gotta understand this. Jack Parsons, who was with the government, with the MILAB, with the laboratory and the rockets, and you have George Van Tassel. Parsons was contacting dark entities from magic rituals, and George Van Tassel was with his family living out there. And an older gentleman had showed him how to, like, from the government, you can actually have a way to stay out there. But he actually was hanging out and staying in this cave. But he would go out to the runways at nighttime when it'd be hot, and he was sleeping out there on the runway at nighttime. In the family, they would do that all the time. It was so hot. He had a contact then, and they gave him a lot of stuff, equations about time, how to build things, and so none of that's metal, that integratron, and it's right at the vortex where all the other energies come together in that Landers, Joshua Tree, and 29 Palms. So it is
wow.
it is an interesting area.
Yeah, we'll probably go down that way quite a bit when we can, when things kind of mellow out a little bit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it is interesting. You know, and I'm kind of a fan of the Skinwalker Ranch show, and I
Oh,
watched
me too.
and started watching one called Blind Frog Ranch. So I'm really kind of interested in the Aztec culture and how that plays into all this,
I know. Okay.
with their,
We actually we actually investigated Skinwalker Ranch.
hmm
Yeah,
It was, didn't it?
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wish I could have stayed there longer, but I only stayed there one night because one of our investigators the next day she had pneumonia.
wow, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
blew the whole trip.
yeah. That's a crazy place though. But I did learn that people think that skinwalkers are everywhere, and or whatever I say. I'm so tired right now. Um, but it's
Well,
only
Shasta County, you got Bigfoot over there.
we got Bigfoot, but we also could have shapeshifters too.
Yeah.
So, one of our it wasn't really an investigation. We went out to a cemetery up by Shasta Lake, and it's a Native American cemetery, and it's really small, and it's up on the side of this hill. And we went up there, and that was the first time we never wanted to go inside the cemetery. It just felt unwelcome, like
Wow.
they didn't want us there. And so we're like, yeah, we're out. And we had our spirit box, and it had some choice words for us, and that's when we left. And then coming down, I heard Native American drumming, and then it sounded like somebody was following us. And about almost all the way down, Ryan got dive bombed by something, but we really didn't know what it was. And when we went back and watched it, it was a bat. And then we were told by one. I'm a big fan of Sean Flynn too, so we kind of picked his brain about it, and he said that depending on the moon cycles, if the spirits were doing some kind of ceremony, we may have interrupted it, and they probably shapeshifted a bat because the bat didn't travel normal. It went upside one side of the trail, went down the other side of the trail. It came right at my face at one time, and I never seen it, and it was still daylight. It's kind of dusk, but enough you'd be able to see a bat like that. We didn't really ever see it until it dive bombed Ryan, so it was really interesting. But they said, yeah, it could have been a shapeshifter. But we don't have skinwalkers here. That's just in the four regions. What is it? Colorado, Utah,
Yeah.
Arizona. That whole four corners in there. So, and they're not really around much because the culture's kind of dying. The younger generations aren't really carrying their culture over. So hopefully that changes for them now. I mean, they don't want skinwalkers, but
And Brenda,
Well, you
how
said the
many?
skinwalkers are where the Indians are. Most of the tribes know about it, so it doesn't have to be in one place. Is that what you're saying? Like,
well, it can only be it's only in that tradition in those four regions right there. So
okay,
there's a
okay,
whole process to become a skinwalker, and I really don't know all the details
wow,
about it. I mean, I think it was they wanted to move on to different levels, and you had to take out somebody, and then you become this like weird kind of shape shifting coyote, for lack of better words. So, but yeah, it's interesting the cultures and the stories and stuff like that. So, kind of.
Brenda, and how many investigations did you say that you been on?
Mm, probably about 5 or 6 so far.
Okay,
Because
okay.
besides our own house, it takes time, and then I'm teaching myself how to edit and do all this. So that takes time for me, probably more time than most people. And plus we're pretty diligent about what we show. We want to make sure this is what we're hearing, what we're getting. And we don't want to just jump on a piece of thing that we think it's, oh my gosh, look at this orb. This has got to be real. So we have to take our time and rewatch it and go over it and kind of talk amongst each other about what we think it is before we even put it out. So, you know,
Yeah. And when you did house calls, we did house calls uh in their case with Auburn, California, when they went up to Auburn.
mhm.
Yeah, so I got credited as the location scout for that one.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna go up there and meet with them, but something happened. My stomach was upset, and so I didn't even go. So, but yeah, but we worked with them just that one time with Crisis in Oakdale.
Yeah, I had a really good time meeting the crew and working with them. And, I know
Yeah.
Ghost of Interest kind of gets a bad rap, but, it's entertainment at the end of the day, but I'm not going to discount what they do. I love the history that, I learned a lot about, asylums and things of that nature that I never knew about before. So that was good for me, a little bit of closure on things in our own lives. So I just the crews they brought there, they were all really cool and very interactive and talked to us, and we got to know them, and it was a cool experience. So
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
lot of
good
work.
experience. It's a good
Yeah,
experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I did a thing with Penn and Teller too,
Oh,
uh,
really?
in Mexico. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. They flew us down to Mexico, and that's when I wrote an article about 2012 and about the end of the world type thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we did an investigation at the pyramids.
Okay. Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Penn and Teller. Wow, that's a step back in time right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're 80s kids. Well, I am anyway.
So what paranormal shows do you watch now?
um, I haven't
Kind
watched
of.
much lately. Like I said, I'm a huge Ghost Adventures fan, so I'm kind of waiting for them to do stuff. But I watch a lot of YouTube people. We've been doing some Paracons, and that took some time out. We did the Gold Country Paracon, but
Kind of.
I think Haunted Mansion is one that we're kind of watching right now, keeping an eye on because he's kind of going places. And for the life of me, I can't remember his name right now, and I should. But when I think of it, I'll let you know who that is.
I like on the History Channel, they have the Unexplained.
Hmm.
Definitely Ancient Aliens. I'm a
Yeah.
definitely Ancient Aliens fan. Um, Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay. Yep. All
Yeah,
those. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
watch almost just about anything, if it catches my interest. YouTube's kind of hard because we're not really into the jump scares. What we do is probably pretty boring to people. So I'm sure our audience will be very specific. We have a bigger following than I thought we would have, which kind of surprised me just coming out the gate so green. But um, I'll watch almost anything as long as it has a real story behind it. I'm kind of a fan of the Osbournes. I think Jack Osbourne is kind of interesting. And so I like to watch some of his stuff, you know. So
We at one time, my group HPI, we had a branch office in Reading. Um, how close are you guys to Reading?
oh, just like a stone's throw. We're
Oh,
still
really?
connected. We're connected at the border. So yeah,
Oh,
Shasta
okay.
County they're all connected. You have Anderson, Shasta County, Happy Valley, Palo Cedro, that they're all within the Shasta County line. So it's pretty tight knit community. So
Yeah, you're very fortunate to live out there because yeah, you got a lot of paranormal stuff going on over there.
it's kind of ironic though. People aren't very open to letting us investigate. So we have to do a lot of work to get people to let us.
Really?
I mean, we've done more just people that reached out to us through friends. That's like, oh, I think we have something in our house. You guys want to come check it out? It's like, sure, we'd love to. But as far as investigating locations, it's been really hard to get people to say
Kind of.
yes. So we have to do a lot of talking, promises that we won't do this or that. We were doing one cemetery, but they put so many restrictions on us, I couldn't even make a video on it because they're like, well, we don't want anybody to know we're here. Well, they already know you're here. That's how we found out about you. But
Well,
there was too many restrictions.
Brenda, what's kind of weird? Okay, but it seems like okay, at one time, okay, we started back in I think 2004, and we were getting investigations almost every single week.
Hmm.
Sometimes we would have 2 to 3 investigations a week. Um, but now things are super slow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I hardly get any phone calls, and which I don't care because I'm taking a break from paranormal investigating anyway,
Hmm.
and I love doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So, um, so I could really care less. But I've talked to other ghost hunting groups too in my area, and they're saying the same thing that no one's calling them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah.
did we got involved with the historical society here at Halloween time. They do a history walk, but this year they wanted to add a haunted element to it, and we had never done that before. So they wanted to do 5 groups in like 3 hours. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You have 5 buildings, or he had 5 buildings and 2 groups, and they wanted all this done in 3 hours. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I go, pick your best 3, and we'll see what we can do. And It was difficult, but it was fun all at the same time. We did actually catch some stuff, so people did get to hear some voices through the spirit box, and I caught a few anomalies, and people seemed like they were having a good time. So that was fun. I hope we get to do that again. But as far as like going to locations, we're still trying to dig in. So, and we'll keep doing it. And we're gonna, we're starting to do a podcast on Paranormal 24/7. Our friend Paul Perez, who this is who we're going to go down south to do this investigation with. He started this app on, if you have Roku or Google TV, Fire TV, and you can get a hold of him and put your show on there. He just wants to start a new channel, a new streaming service. So we're on there right now. It's super new, so there's only like 4 groups on there right now, and we probably have the most videos on, which is all of 2. But we're working on it. It just got started here in December, so it's called Paranormal 24/7. So we're doing that right now.
Yeah.
So we'll do our podcast, and we got a whole list of stuff that we want to talk about, symbolism, medium, psychics, empaths, where do we go from here, just all kinds of stuff. So whatever anybody wants to talk about, that's what we're going to do.
Did you, as a child, have paranormal experiences?
I've always seen shadows, and I've always been very emotionally attached to things that, like, my mom lost a baby before I was born to SIDS, and her picture had always been on the wall. She was my sister Sandy, and I didn't even know who she was. I just knew this picture was on the wall, and I would stop by there almost daily and be so emotional about it at 2nd and 3rd grade, and not really know why. So I've always been very emotional. So I don't know, I've never seen full apparitions or anything like that. Just a lot of shadows. I have a lot of dreams. I used to dream a lot, this weird stuff. So, but yeah, I didn't really, and then when you don't really think about those things, either you're going through it and you don't know why. I struggle with depression. So I kind of, now in hindsight, think maybe that has something to do with my depression, because you're just so you're just absorbing everything all the time. So I have to be careful what I do sometimes. So
yeah. Brenda, tell us about your team members. We know something about Ryan. How about your other team member? What's her name?
Kelly Bobbin. So Kelly, I met through my mom. They used to play pool together. And she had an experience not only with her sister, but with her father. So her sister, she thought just was crazy. She would talk about all these conversations she would have with people and aliens and this and that and things that she saw in the house. And it just kind of scared her. So she never really knew how to deal with it. And then, and her sister's still like that. So we haven't really figured out quite what's going on with her, if it's really a mental health issue or if she's really talking to spirits and stuff like that. Because if you don't know what's happening to you, I would imagine that's why some people just kind of lose their marbles. I'm seeing stuff, I'm hearing things, and before they really address it, it's probably too late. But so Kelly's father passed away, and she took a picture of the bedroom, and she caught a big orb in the lens. Now, I know there's a lot of issues about orbs, and some people say they're just water, they're this or that. There's 10 types of orbs, and it's not paranormal. But I kind of beg to differ, because we catch a lot of stuff in my house. So that's how Kelly got involved in this. We invited her to come on the team, and she's kind of like the neutral party. We kind of have an advantage because we're first responders. So coming from that field of work, we see death all the time, and I'm very connected to people when people pass away and stuff like that. And I feel like my job is to be there in their last moments. I want them to know that they're not alone. Has anybody ever followed me home? Once. So we have a different advantage than Kelly. So she can almost kind of be neutral, because being a first responder, we don't react to a whole lot. So sometimes when we're watching our videos back, we're like, all this stuff is happening around us, and we're getting voices out of the spirit box, and we're reacting not at all. But that's how our brains kind of work. We are in the worst situations, so we're able to kind of internalize everything and kind of put some of that away so we can look at the bigger picture. So that's, Kelly kind of brings a different side of the investigation. She's able to be a little bit more neutral and see a little more things than we do sometimes. So, but she's looking for answers just like everybody else. What is this? is my dad still out there? And is this him in this picture? And I'm not a scientist. I like to read books, and I read some books on orbs. And I don't know, people that has spent years studying these things, there's got to be something to it. So you can't just say it's all water droplets
Yeah.
or
And,
dust.
and this is what we do on orbs. Okay, yeah, sure, it could be dust, it could be skin flakes,
Mhm.
dewdrops, light refractions, whatever.
Yeah,
But if you can show that it has intelligent movement, then you can deem it as paranormal.
yeah.
And so, and Zandine's heard this story 1,000 times, but I'm going to tell it 1,001 times.
Mhm.
So, anyway, we had a situation, and was Emily the ghost. She would drain the energy from the occupants. So,
Mhm.
one of my investigators says, I have to sit down because I feel really fatigued.
Right.
And I said, I wonder if Emily is draining the energy from you. I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, I said, kiss him on the lips. So we take a picture, three of us take a picture, and there's an orb on his mouth.
Yeah.
That showed intelligent movement. I said, Emily, if you're listening again, sit on his lap. And then there's an orb hovering over his lap.
Yeah.
Showed intelligent movement. Something like that was able to deem as paranormal. And then we had a case over in Del Paso Heights, and I took a picture in the backyard, and I got a picture of two designer orbs.
Mhm.
That's the orbs with the intricate type designs inside
Right.
of them.
Right.
And as we enhanced it, it showed faces of two dogs.
Mhm.
So I asked the occupant, I said, what do you have back there? And she goes, orange trees. I said, besides the orange trees, what else do you have back there? She goes, my two dogs are buried back there. I
Yeah.
said, take a look at these pictures. She looks at the pictures, starts crying. I said, why are you crying? She goes, those are my dogs.
Yeah. So in Kelly's
Something like
orb,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you zoom in, it does look like there's a face in it, and she does feel like that's her dad in her, when he was younger, in his younger years. So that's what she sees in it. And yeah, I could see it a little bit. So and plus we have with my daughter, when we were before she manifested in the living room, the things that we were catching in her camera was orb like. But when we always seen two, I started to notice when there was the one that we thought was Leanne, there would always be the second orb that was very childlike. Now Leanne lost a baby 2 weeks to her due date. The baby was stillborn, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And that's when we lost her. But in the house, when we brought her back, you always seen the second orb follow her everywhere, and it was very childlike. You know how kids pop up and play hide and seek. That's how the second orb moves. So nobody can tell me that it's not them. I'm convinced that it's the two of them, and
Yeah.
it just follows her around.
Nowadays, when I do an investigation, I'll put my hand on the wall. I said, if you're a real ghost, appear by my hand. And
Hmm.
sometimes I'll have an orb on my hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we also have when Ghost Adventures came, they said that there was a gateway in our room, and we already kind of believed that. And then after they left, I had a psychic. I did a psychic reading. She also confirmed there was a gateway in our room. So we do have a video up on our YouTube channel of my room, and you can see all these light anomalies in the room that are not normal. That some you can say, yeah, that might be a little dust, but this is in a very neutral environment. Air conditioning's not on. We haven't. Our house is not drafty or dirty or dusty. Not really. And yeah, there's some, and there is one in there that where I have my daughter's ashes to the left. If you're looking at the TV, it sits on a white stand, and she comes out of that area and flies over my head, and then goes back up where Hannah's box of stuff is sitting. So yeah, our room is pretty active, and I don't sleep very well. So I'm pretty convinced that there's something going on, a gateway portal. I don't know, but it's pretty convincing to
Wow.
me. But it doesn't feel negative ever. But I do get tired quite a bit. I'm always drained. So, and there's really no good reason for it. So I don't know where they're going, but they're going to somewhere.
I think Zandine needs to ask you something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, with the how's the temperature with the you living in a portal? I know it's already cold this time of year. Do you notice any Any unusual coldness?
Periodically we get the cold spots in the house, especially if we're paying attention. And I think after a while you get so used to it, it's just like, oh, it's cold today, you know. So yeah, we do
Ah,
periodically get the cold spots. And we also, before we bought this house in 2016, and kind of had forgotten that a lady coded in our hallway. She passed away in the hallway. So I have heard her voice before, which I'm assuming is her because it's not my daughter's voice. And then in
ah,
the neighborhood I live in, other people have told stories of like an old pioneer lady that comes and visit their houses, and then the guy that actually originally developed our neighborhood had died in a car wreck on that property, and he's tall and wears a cowboy hat, and he's been seen in the neighborhood. So,
ah,
and then Ghost
ah.
Adventures, Aaron thought he saw him in the hallway, so of our house. So, there's a lot in our little area, but who knows what we built on. When you're talking to the
Yeah.
native area, how many spots did we build on that were all you know
Uh,
places we were
what
supposed to
attracted
build.
Aaron and them? What attracted Aaron and the crew originally to you guys?
From Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
Just because we sent our video in, and of course, they had their researchers reach out to us, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be dumb. I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
Was it Justin West?
It was Justin, I believe so. Yeah. So he's like, no, this is real. What you guys are experiencing is very real. And I really honestly didn't believe they were coming until they came to my house. And then just having them in my house, I kind of got super protective. It was really weird because it's not like me. I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm not a person that would touch people or get in their personal space. And
Yeah.
it was a really strange time for me that whole weekend because
I get what you mean.
yeah, I didn't even want him to be in my house, which was so weird because I invited you. And
Yeah.
then of course, if you ever watch the video, there's a part in there that's so not me, but
But you know
yeah.
what? Think about
Now, why do you say that? Why do you say it's not you?
Well, because there was a point that we were all in the living room and Jay was sitting kind of catty corner from me on my other couch. I was on my little couch and he was sitting on the big couch. And he had already, the moment he walked into my house, he got sick. He was sick the whole time. And for some reason, he was sitting there talking, and I just got up and walked over and I put my hands on his shoulders and I just said, if you don't get better, I can't get better. And that's so not me. I would never do that to anybody. And they asked me multiple times why I did that. I said, I have no idea. That's just out of my character. So, and then, I don't know if you knew about the picture in the desert with Jay and his girlfriend. Yeah, TMZ, I think, released it. Well, it was this after he got sick of my house. He actually threw up in my sink, not just a little bit, but a lot. And then
uh,
he went out to the desert like a week later and to cleanse and ground himself and all that. And his girlfriend was taking pictures, and then in one of the frames, it's like this big. I thought it looked kind of Egyptian. Other people say it looks kind of dog-like or maybe alien-like, but I think it looks like an Egyptian, like what you'd see on the front of a pyramid, that with the legs and yeah, it looks Egyptian to me, but
wow.
yeah, they kind of said that they thought that came from my house because I probably transferred something from my house to Jay. So that which kind of made me feel bad. It's like, no, my house isn't that bad. It's not really, honestly, it's not that negative, not to me. So
They were like, this is real.
yeah, he
But you
doesn't
know,
want to come back to my house.
yeah, yeah. See, but you also, but you have a genuine quality about like some people. I guess this is like real estate. You know, some people think like if they're like a hotshot salesman or something like, that means they're gonna sell a lot of houses. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. The people go on like what they feel on you. But like I could see if you started something or your fans like they just go on you. So if you're saying you saw a ghost or you saw this, they're gonna first be like, and they're gonna be okay. So
Yeah.
you got that going for you.
Yeah, we're not here to sell anybody anything. We've had these experiences and we just want to we don't want to know
Yeah.
everything, but we just want to share our stories for people that are going through these things to say, hey, it's okay that you can believe in this and it doesn't matter what other people say. If you believe it and
Huh.
you're okay with it, then you're good. You're solid. So,
Yeah.
but I have had a lot of parents come up to me telling me that they buy their kids Ouija boards for Christmas. So we don't dive into that side of in any of this. Ours is more on the spiritual side. We're more on the, I guess, God side. But if you believe in one,
I like that.
yeah, if you believe in one, you have to believe in the other. So I don't play in that playground that close. Obviously, we're playing in the playground, but we don't play in that side. So when people tell me that, I go, don't buy your kids Ouija boards because you just don't know. They see all this stuff on the internet and they're exposed to so much, and they can start doing things that they know nothing about, and then won't be able to get themselves out of it. And if you have kids that, like my daughter, that's autistic, they're a little bit more open to that stuff. So are kids. My grandson has seen things in the house. His lights gone on and off in his room. He's got a little desk lamp that has a toggle switch that's gone on and off a couple times, but he doesn't talk about it. He's a little tight-lipped about it. He wouldn't talk to Ghost Adventures about it. So, and then my middle one, Robin, I think she's my sensitive. She didn't really know her mom that well, but she talks with her or talks about her as though she's had conversations with her in the house. And she'll say things that she shouldn't know, like things that my daughter liked, colors, books, things like that. And I'll be like, well, who told you that? And she'll be like, oh, my mom. And she just is like matter of fact about it. Now, I have to take that with a grain of salt because she is 5 years old. They have pretty colorful imagination sometimes, but it is weird. The youngest one, who's 3, she doesn't do it as much now, but before, when it was all fresh, she would look down the hallway. She'd be like watching her cartoon on TV, and she would look down the hallway it would just break her little thing watching TV, look at the hallway, and she'd be like, hi, Mom. And then she'd look back at the TV, and she never really knew Leanne. So she does weird things like that. So you're like, is this just your imagination, or you?
What don't you give that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you froze up. Zandine, are you frozen?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, Brenda is frozen.
Yeah, but, oh, you lost Phil.
Yeah. Let's see if she comes back. Oh, there's Phil. Oh, there's Phil.
Yeah.
Look at that
I've
background.
been listening.
That
I've been listening. I just haven't really had anything to add to it, so figured I'd let you guys roll with it. Unfortunately, she is frozen, and I'm not sure.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
There I am. You guys all left me. I'm not that scary, I promise.
Brenda, have you done any demon cases?
Not on purpose.
On purpose?
Not that we're aware of. No, we don't. We haven't really gotten that from people. It's more like, I think the first house investigation we did, there was 2 confirmed suicides in the house and potentially 5 over the years that house had been built. And the family, they wouldn't stay in that specific room. So it was kind of almost like an extra room that was built on the house. And we got a lot of activity in that house. But it never really seemed negative or demonic, no. I think the demons are like far and in between. I don't think Satan really has time to come out and really mess with us because he's busy doing other things. I think demons have to be a very specific thing. Not to say it can't happen. That's why when you're
lucky you don't live in Sacramento, because it seems like all the demons are right here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
We got so many demon cases out here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just where we live. It's pretty rural up here. I mean, about 89,000 people live up here, but it's spread out. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't get much of that. If there is, they're not talking about it. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, ours is like I said, I think a lot of ours up here in this area is just more Native American driven more than anything. You had some of the largest relocations of Native Americans. California was actually a land grant from Mexico. So the Spanish came in and killed a lot of Native Americans. And then obviously the tribes were at war with each other, and then you get the settlers. So there's just so much going on in this area. But as far as it being demonic, I haven't really seen or heard.
Yeah, and there was a massacre too. um, Indians versus cowboys, whatever, over at Mount Shasta.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, yeah, over in the valley. So there
yeah,
was a lot of deaths over there.
yeah. Well, you have like we had the what they call Bloody Island here. It was a guy with last name of Reed Redding. There was two Reddings, but the one actually did more than the other. But they were both, you know, recognized for having creating cottonwood and Reading and all of that. So they had Bloody Island where they had a huge massacre and stuff. And actually, my stepdad's grandmother was shot and killed trying to swim across the Sacramento River. So in all of that,
Ah,
and then we
Did
have
you come
strawberry.
across a lot of hunters?
No, I don't get out in the forest that much. You know,
Okay.
we don't really have a whole lot of it left up here. We still have some, but everything's burned down up here unless you go way out. But you know, we have to deal with cartels and growers and stuff like that. So you have to be really careful where you go nowadays. It's not like you can just go hike around anymore. So
what's up with
That's
Edna
terrible.
in McLeod? How's Edna? The city Edna.
there is a ghost town up there. It's there's still people living there, but it's an old town. I've heard that's haunted. We haven't gone that far up to try to go investigate.
Okay, I
It's
got
really
friends from there.
yeah, it's super small around there. McLeod, I've heard a lot of things. Like I said, we want to go to the Pluto caves, but that's more Lemurian and Bigfoot area. Now we had went camping up there a couple of years ago, and it was right when I got my youngest granddaughter. She was only like 5 months old, and the second night we were there, I decided it was too cold, so I drove back to Reading, and I was going to come back the next day. So Ryan and the two kids stayed, and he swears up and down he heard Bigfoot yell. He goes, it was a scream like I've never heard before. He goes, and from all the sound bites other people have recorded, he goes, it sounded just like that. So he's convinced the Bigfoot's out there. Now, mind you, Ryan was raised pretty strict Catholic, so um, how we're raised kind of molds our views on spirituality and things like that. So for him, this has been kind of eye-opening, and it's kind of changed his perspective, of life and where we go. And he's a little more open-minded to the Bigfoot thing. He's a full Bigfoot believer. So we'll probably go down that path someday. Like our whole name came out of obviously paranormal, but para it means outside of normal or next to. So that's where we got the paranormal, obviously. And then triage is to sort. When you have a big multi-casualty incident, you have to sort out your patients. So that's where we got the triage. It's like we're going to sort out facts and stuff like that. So yeah, we may do some triage on Bigfoot. You never know. So
There was a group, but they didn't last very long. But they called themselves Abnormal Paranormal.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, like I said, I know there's some people that do podcasting up there. I don't really follow them. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see their take on it. I'd like to go to Trinity County. There's a bridge over there where there was also a massacre that I'd like to go investigate. I want to say it's called the Normal Bridge, but that might not be it. I always get it wrong. The Normal or
How
the
close are you to Eureka?
like 4 hours. It's about a
Oh,
4 hour
4
drive.
hours. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that far.
I've been to Eureka and Wairika.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wairika is above Mount Shasta. That would be north, and Eureka is on the ocean west.
Zandine, you would like Wairika. That place is filled with ghosts and UFO sightings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge up there. Yeah, and then Ferndale, which is just south of Eureka, is one of my favorite places. They got this awesome cemetery that we go to all the time when we go up there or go down there. It's an old town. It's still the Victorian type buildings and stuff like that. So that's another place I want to check out.
Brenda, Zandine just came back from Daly City Chinese Cemetery. And that place is really has a lot of high strangeness. Um, UFO's been seen there. Some kind of little baby Bigfoot was seen there.
Baby
And-
Bigfoot, baby Bigfoot.
An elderly Asian woman phantom has been seen there. Blue orbs flying around. And when I was in Oceana High School, there was some grave robbers from my high school that used to go there. They used to dig the graves, dig up the graves because the Chinese people they would go to their family members who are deceased and throw in jewelry and
Hmm.
money, and so they would grave rob. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I think you would love that cemetery. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I do like cemeteries. And we have a few here. We whiskey down out by Whiskey Town Lake. There's a pretty cool cemetery out there. I don't know
Oh,
how they.
Whiskey Town.
Yeah, I don't know how they bury people out there because it's such rough area. It's not like it's all smooth and has green grass and stuff. It's just weird. I'm like, how do they even do this? So,
Yeah, I did an investigation at Whiskey Town. I forgot all about that place.
yeah, we went out one day in the daytime because everybody has it in their head that you have to investigate at nighttime. The only reason really to investigate at nighttime is because things are more calm. You have less pollution. You don't want your stuff to get polluted with noise and stuff. So we went out there with just the basic one spirit box and a recorder and one camera, and that was it. And we actually got all kinds of stuff out there. It was interesting, because you have everybody from like World War II out there to current, so it was interesting. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Zendine, have you been to Whiskey Town?
Uh,
All through the area. I was just gonna tell you, my lady's like, she's got relatives in Edna, Callahan, McLeod, like that whole area. We always go through there, and all is Trinity, which she when she said Trinity County, all those places we've been through everywhere up there. But investigating, no, just like sightseeing, but investigating, Shasta a lot. I go, that I'm sure you probably know, Brenda. It's that little, it's that travel lodge, just like right in town. Well, it's like if people that are going to Mount Shasta,
oh,
a
you
lot
mean
of
in
time.
Reading? In Reading?
Yeah, well, he actually passed, but actually, you know what? And weed.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
And then
Oh,
I got a partner that works at that at the pond the gun shop, pawn shop in Reading too. He's been there
Yeah,
for like 30
yeah,
years.
we tried to we went to Dunsmuir to kind of check it out. Dunsmuir's just below Mount Shasta.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Dunsbury. Yeah, right to
Yeah,
that town is, but it looks a trip though. I mean,
it is. It's a weird town.
it looks that town looks. Yeah, Paul, you should see Dunsbury when you're
oh,
leaving Mount Shasta.
what's the name of the hotel? The old hotel or motel at Weed.
Well, there's the old Dunsmuir Motel that's supposed to be haunted, but it had caught on fire, so that it's been closed down. I don't know if he has it open yet, but we went there one day and we met some people that were pretty fluent in that area, and then we're friends with that guy. And we tried to get in to investigate that because they said that place was haunted. So, and I know they just made a movie. Somebody made a movie there not too long ago. So,
They invited us to an old hotel at Weed, and we did an investigation, and the local newspaper wrote an article about it. And I can't think of the hotel's name. I gotta look it up now.
yeah, I don't get up much that way. I don't. Yeah, I can't think of any up there right now. I go to Mount Shasta a lot because I snowboarded. I used to snowboard a lot.
Oh, you
Yeah.
used to snowboard?
Oh yeah. My snowboarding name is Shreddy Betty. I'm like a legend in my own
Oh,
time.
well, that's cool. That's
Shreddy
cool.
Betty. And Shreddy Betty, have you broken anything? Because every time I see people that know how to snowboard, it's like to learn that skill. It seems like you get hurt a lot.
Now I had one knee injury that wasn't real serious, and I shaved off my chin one time. So,
Wow.
but no, not too
Shreddy
bad.
Betty.
But when I started, I was like 33, and yeah, I tried to do things, but what your brain wants to do and your body, it's like two different things.
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
went to Black Butte Saloon.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a campground between Reading and Dunsmuir called Sims Campground. And that's where they did the first CCCs, the California Conservative Corps. For back then, it was for boys that were getting in trouble, and they would send them to this camp. And they helped build one of the oldest bridges across the creek there. And there is a guy that was up there. They were camping with a family, and he disappeared, and they still don't know what happened to him. And so we were going to investigate with that campground with somebody, but somehow he decided he wasn't going to do it. So
Yeah, Black Butte Hotel. I mean, yeah, Black Butte Saloon. They invited us and they gave us free rooms, and we had an investigation there all night long.
yeah, the
And
the
we
other
got all
place
this stuff.
the other place we'd like to investigate. I really love these people, and they were almost going to let us do it. And it was the French Gulch Hotel. And there's lots of stories about the French Gulch
wow.
Hotel, but when the car fire hit, hit part of his home was burnt, and then he was trying to just recoup from all that financially, and they were trying to fix up the hotel and stuff, but they didn't want to get government grants because then you owe the government everything. So they are trying to do it themselves. But he almost let us do it, and until like a week before, and he just felt like the spirits wanted to be left alone. And because of all the bad things that had happened with fire and stuff, he just didn't want to. He didn't want no more bad luck. So we kind of respected that. We were bummed out because we were really looking forward to it. So, but maybe someday. Maybe someday. But yeah, but every person that goes in there has a story. We go up there for dinner, and when they find out that we're a group, they're like, "Oh my God, we got to tell you this story." So people have seen apparitions in there. Glasses have flown off the bar. People that take pictures in the bar, there'd be like a little girl in the picture. So there's something up there. But yeah, he just kind of wants to leave his spirits alone. I don't blame him, trying to.
Brenda, if you got a call, let's say from Sacramento, from Fresno, and it was some family, and they say, "Hey, we need some desperate help. We got ghosts in the house, and they're mischievous and causing all kinds of problems." Would you drive all the way from where you're at to Sacramento or in Fresno or
Oh,
whatever?
absolutely, we would. Yeah, absolutely. We're still, when we investigated my house this last time, I had the full blown flu. So yeah, and I just want to help people. It's not about just doing the investigation, but it's wanting to help people understand what they're going through and hopefully give them a little peace of mind, because it can be scary when you don't know. Yeah, but we're willing to drive just about anywhere. So
You sound like Zandine. Zandine drives all over the place.
yeah, but yeah, well, you got to take the opportunity when it knocks. So, but like I said, it's more about helping people and helping them navigate through something that's so foreign to them,
Right.
So, and then people have all these misconceptions like the demonic stuff. You watch all these movies on TV and it's all demonic and they're out to get you and get your kids and nobody's going to live. And, it's not really like that. I think, like I said, I think the demonic side of it, you really have to be knocking on the devil's door to make those things happen, unless you're just in a house that has that history,
What,
Yeah,
what
when
I
I
think
was
about demons, though. Oh, sorry, Paul. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Zandy. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say the other thing about demons too. A lot of people, like I was saying before, they want to see like something that looks crazy, horns or something looks, but they're not thinking about the bad luck that demons can be invoked to put on somebody else. So a lot of times it's not even stuff you have to see,
Yeah.
So if you can get some rare cases where people are like seeing, some manifestation or something that might scare them, like on something on TV or whatever. I mean, I've rarely heard of that, but um, you know, like we said before on other shows, daemon, the proper spelling, the Greek word means extra human, and at those times people were using them for good or bad. They would invoke them for many reasons. So um, it's not all, it wasn't always about the doom and gloom with the demons.
Right, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the negative people that want to take that side of it and run with it, makes it
And
kind of
they're not
bad.
to be played with. They're not. I mean, King Solomon, he supposedly used them with, subdued them with the cedar ring, when he was constructing the temple. They have personalities. You can look up each one. They actually, and they were supposed to be working side by side with humans. Now, I believe in the Abrahamic pantheon. I believe in, God in the Bible. So, that's something interesting for people like yourself or me, people that believe, in that pantheon. Because, some people, Sumerian, Muslim, whatever, and I respect
Mm,
all faiths. I'm just saying, as far as demons, and when you talk about demonology, the other faiths, they have an extensive, round of demons. So, they're quite prevalent in all religions. So,
yeah.
there's
So
something to 'em.
yeah,
Yeah.
so our friend Paul Perez that we're going to go down and help, he's an exorcist, so he studied to do all that. That's what he does. So we're going on this just to kind of learn from him, because I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
We've been doing this for 2.5 years, and we haven't even begun to touch everything yet. And so we want to take those opportunities because we may not ourselves know what we're doing sometimes when we're seeing
Oh yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Who knows?
take every opportunity to learn from people. I when I first heard of Paul, it's like, oh my God, he's an exorcist. I don't want to talk to him. I was, freaked me out for a minute. It's like, an exorcist. But then when I got to know Paul, then it wasn't so scary. I understood what he did, but that's we get all these misconceptions in our heads sometimes, especially if you ever watch
Paul
The
14.
Exorcist. Yeah.
Brenda, what I do Roman Catholic house blessings, and I do full submersion baptisms, which is a basic form of exorcism if you have a demonic attachment.
Okay.
And I'm very successful with that. I would say for my house blessings, about 80% successful. And for the baptisms, if you have an attachment, almost like 95%.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to go with Paul to see what he does. I haven't really picked his brain about how he does his exorcisms and stuff like that. So it'll be
Well,
interesting.
if you were closer, I would show you.
Well, we'll have to meet up someday when you. So, but yeah, I mean, we just want to learn and we want to share our knowledge and stuff like that. So to be able to talk to people like you and hear your stories is pretty awesome. And yeah, come investigate our UFOs and our Bigfoots. They're up here, So I think Kesha came up here once. Kesha went to Mount Shasta.
Yeah. The reason why I asked you about the traveling part, because when I first started, and for a good while, I mean, I was going all over the place in Northern California. I mean, I was up in Eureka, I was up in Redding, I was in San Francisco, I was everywhere.
Yeah.
And after a while, I just got tired of because there was wear and tear on my car.
Yeah.
Spending all that money on gas, and some of those people that I visited weren't going to help me with gas money or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like I got tired of it. It's like, okay, this is too much, So.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money on gadgets and stuff, and it's like, well, did we really need to spend this much money on stuff? But we did, and you don't really need it in all of that. You really don't. You just pretty much need yourself and maybe a recorder. But we have fun playing with all the gadgets. But we also have been to Amador County. That's where we went to the Gold Country Paracon that we were at. So they do a lot of stuff over there as well. They got the old mines. I think Ghost Adventures have been there 2 or 3 times and done some investigation, because you have to remember this is all old mining area. So there's just a lot of stuff up here.
Zandine's my right arm, and I'll tell him about a case. I'll say I have what's called the Paranormal Hotline. So I'll say I got a case in San Luis Obispo, and he looks at me and goes, "I'm there." And sure enough, boom, Zandine's in San Luis Obispo. It's
yeah,
like, he goes all over the place.
Yeah, I've had people send me their photographs before, and I'll go over them and give them my opinions. It's kind of hard when you're not there and you don't really know, because a lot of people, there's more of this available on the East Coast, it seems, and they have more places than on the West Coast, and that kind of always confused me. It's like, why do you guys have all this stuff, and you can go to all these places and investigate, and we're on the West Coast with all this history, and it's just like getting the door shut in your face every 2 minutes.
But I just finished reading this paper by Wojciech Koswa. He's an author. He wrote about vampires in Christianity and in the Bible, but he was actually coming up with them possibly being demons as well. Like looking at the origin, he wasn't necessarily looking at them as bloodsuckers in this case. He was just trying to find a correlation. But there's a lot of research. Matter of fact, before King James, and I think we said this before he even wrote the book of the Bible, he wrote a book on demons, and he was really afraid of witchcraft and people taking him down with that. He was really aware of that. So he spent a lot more time, a lot of time on that. So I guess, now in today's even if you're getting the demons, I was gonna say the area that you're in, it's ironic that you're getting a lot of paranormal activity, because I find that the UFOs and the ghosts, the poltergeists and activities, a lot of them are all interconnected a lot of times. So, but most people always talk about the Lemurians, talk about the UFOs when they talk about Mount Shasta, but it makes sense that it should be a lot of ghost activity to me anyway.
Well, if you get to see all what are they called, petroglyphs? Is that what's on the rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, petroglyphs. There's all that in petroglyphs, even like in Arizona with the Navajo Indians. If when you watch all those shows, and even with like Sean Quinn, the stuff that him and his brother used to do, and they talk about the petroglyphs, and then there's all kinds of alien type, pictures
Yeah.
of that. So yeah, I'm sure it's all intermingled somehow, some way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to be. But yeah, we kind of got on the topic of the fires though, because it seems like when this started, it felt like there was, I don't know if you guys felt it, but it felt like there was a shift in the universe. And I'm not really into universe stuff and all that meditating stuff. I'd like to be, but I'm just kind of like just a normal Joe, getting into something and learning new things. But it felt like the universe kind of shifted and people got into this calm. And even the place where we're going right now, the activity slowed way down, almost like non-existent. So I'm kind of wondering, since everything's kind of based off energy, do fires interfere with spirits being able to do things? Do they pull? Because fire is energy, and it takes a lot to move the way that it does. I just kind of wonder what your thoughts were about that. Like, do you feel like a big fire like that?
I would like to have Phil about that. That's really interesting. I want to know what Phil thought about the stress.
And even the
That's a great point. That's a great point. You know what Paul, you're on mute probably.
And even
the firefighters that I used to work with, okay, they thought that fire was a living thing, because fire, it seems like it was intelligent. It moves. It goes from one tree maybe to another tree. It excretes. It eats.
It does,
yeah, and so it multiplies.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like it's got intelligent movement. So yeah, a lot of firefighters actually believed that fire is a living thing, and it could be.
Yeah, well, weather makes its own weather systems. If you remember the car fire, we had a F4 tornado, and it just moonscaped and took out the west side of town. Just took it out. It was crazy.
Why is it molten lava? Like they talked about the cars melting to the point where it's rolling down the street, but the trees and certain other things aren't burning. Like it's.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, it's all interesting. I mean, there's so much you could talk about that stuff.
Yeah. Anyway,
Brenda, the time fairy just hit me and cued me in and says that we're past the hour, so we got to wrap it up. So, Brenda, how can people get a hold of you?
So we have a webpage. It's www.paranormaltriage.com. We not only have all our information on there, we have a contact form on there. So if anybody ever wants to reach out with even questions or want to be on our podcast or just, want to talk, that's how they can reach us. Yeah. And all our social medias are on there, Facebook, YouTube. And we have a merch store. So you can go check out our shirts and buy a nice little shirt if you want. That pays for our gas. But we've sold one so far. So merch is a whole nother story. That's something you have to do all the time. But yeah, that's how they can reach us. Yeah. But we're an open book. We welcome anybody to come and put a request in, and if it's just a talk, then that's what we do. So yeah. And we thank you for having us. I wish we were all here, but Mother Nature had a different plan.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Very nice to have you. We really appreciate it.
Now we're gonna have to get together sometime and do an investigation. If you guys ever come this way, let me know.
Yeah, well, let's go soon.
Zendine will probably be there before I am.
He'll be here tomorrow.
I'm dragging you at 14, man. 14.
Yeah, Zendine's the type of person, I swear to God, he'll be there tomorrow. If you said you got something going on, he's there.
All right, cool. Maybe you should come to the Pluto Caves when the snow melts. So yeah, it's probably really cold.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cold up there right now, so I don't have any plans of tromping around in the snow. But
this brother's not good with the cold.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brenda.
All right, see ya.
All right.